the most important part of that TED Talk by Katie Darling to me is actually the two questions that she asks right at the end of the video. And it's really more about people again than it is about the technology. The first question that she sort of asked that I think is of interest is, can robots change a person's empathy? And she gives the example of how a child kicking a robot that looks and behaves like a dog might make that person more likely to kick a real dog. And that's because in being able to do the former, it normalizes that violent behavior that's then more likely to occur to the real dog. The second question that she asks is whether when we have these scenarios of violence that is directed towards robots, when those robots have been specifically designed to mimic life, is that a healthy outlet for this kind of violent behavior? And I am sort of one left with this question is like, why should we enable that sort of behavior at all? Why should there be an option for a healthy outlet? Why should we not have a society that unilaterally and categorically just condemns this kind of behavior and doesn't condone it in any scenario? Is this a question that we should be asking ourselves? I mean, what do those people who are studying psychology or social sciences who are doing this course, what are the perspectives that you guys bring into this? Is it possible to ever eliminate that violent streak from human nature at all? Is that just a pipe dream and then we do need healthy outlets? That's a question that I think we need to discuss. So in the video, Katie Darling concludes that we don't know, whether they could be served as a healthy outlet or not. And so I want you to watch the next video, which does need to come with some trigger warnings. It's about sex robots, and some of the images are a bit graphic, and some of the topics that get discussed are quite challenging one. And in that video as well, as a bit of a spoiler alert with the trigger warning, Kathleen Richardson will argue that very much so what we risk in the bad treatment of lifelike robots is that we become more likely to be okay about the terrible treatment of other human beings. And then as a sort of extension of that, what is really at risk is not the treatment of the robot per se, but is this a extremely negative, detrimental effect that condoning that sort of bad behavior in one context can have, not just in the treatment of other people, but that loss of humanity, that loss of empathy, that sort of becoming of a worse person, becoming a more terrible individual, and it's a detriment to the human species and human society that we risk unfolding if we don't critically engage with this stuff.